In this module, we're going to discuss installation running the first-time wizard. By the end of this training, you'll be able to run first-time wizard on the gateway and run the first-time wizard on the management. After you have successfully installed Gaia, whenever you'll open up the prompt, you'll be prompted to go ahead and configure the first-time wizard. How? Just open up the web UI and finish the first-time wizard. The definition of first-time wizard is the wizard presents several windows in which you configure the date and time, network connections, routing, DNS server, host and domain name, and deployment type. Now, I've circled the host and deployment type because these are very crucial. Your host name and the deployment type, meaning during the first-time wizard, you'll select if you want this box that you have to act as a gateway or as a management, or even both if you want to use the standalone distribution. You can run the first-time wizard either over the web UI, or you can also do it from Clish using some commands and some answer files. Here's what you need to do before you run the first-time wizard. You need to know the host name you're going to use, the DNS server you're going to use, the SIG password to authenticate and pair the gateway with the management, your GUI client list, and the administrator credentials you want to use. Back to our topology, I'm going to connect from the admin machine to the gateway and to the management using a browser connecting to the IP address of the gateway and the management over HTTPS. This is my browser. I've typed in the IP address of my management, so I've just typed https://10.1.1.1.1. If you're not sure what's the IP address of the device, you should just open up a console connection and check the IP address. The host presents a self-signed certificate, so by default my browser doesn't recognize it. So I'll need to do advanced, accept the risk, and continue. This is the web UI. I'm going to log in with my credentials and continue with the installation. So it recognized the platform that I'm using. So as I said, I'm running an open server. So I'm going to see this VMware. Continue with the RAD120 configuration. Verifying the management interface IP address and default gateway. Now, unlike my A gateway, which I've configured during our previous video, I haven't configured the management, so I'm going to do this right now. I'm going to select my hostname. I don't have a domain name, so I'm going to leave it blank. Configure a DNS server that I'm going to use, and a secondary one. I don't have a proxy. I'm going to go ahead and select next. Now it's important to know which hosting you're going to use because it's not going to be that fun to change it after the first-time wizard. Date and time are configured properly. These are pulled from your computer, so we just pulled out from my physical computer, so I'm good. Here I'm going to stick with security gateway and or security management and press next. And this is the most important stuff. I'm going to select which products or product will be installed on this box. In this case, this is going to be my management, so I'm going to uncheck the security gateway. Next, I'm going to configure the username and password for whoever is going to manage my management box. This is known as administrators. I can use the admin from Gaia, but I prefer to have a different user for that. So I'm going to select define a new administrator, configure my username and my password. Don't peek, no picking. Press next. This is the GUI client list. This is some sort of an access list to decide which IP addresses will be able to communicate with the management box. I'm going to stick with any IP address, but of course you can make it more secure and configure a specific address. This can be changed later if you want to. So I'm going to stick with any. Press finish, and I'm good to go. Let's repeat the process for the gateway. So same as before, I need to accept the risk. Log in. Select next. Now, some steps are identical, but we're going to have some new steps here. It asks me if I want to configure an external interface. I've already done that, so I'm going to skip. As you remember, I've already configured a host name and DNS, so I can do next. Date and time are good. Sticking with that. Now, I'm going to uncheck the security management this time. Do I have a dynamic IP address? No. Activation key. This activation key would be used when I would like to initiate trust between the gateway and the management. So I'm selecting a one-time activation key here, and I'll need to submit it later from the management side. Press next and finish. And now we just need to wait. And look, the first time wizard on a gateway is done. I can press OK and reboot. Let's check the status of the management server. Still in progress. Here we go. Finally, I press OK. So this is how the web UI is going to look like after the first time wizard. I can see the version that I'm running, that this is a security management as opposed to a security gateway. I can see the interfaces, I can configure them, I can configure the routes, I can run the updates. This is a very useful utility. Thank you for watching.